Egan, Minnesota, and the Dakota County Corrections Center are facing a federal lawsuit because what they've done is had yet another case of cops believing that they need to get an arrest instead of getting somebody to a medical facility. Now, what happened is that a gentleman by the name of Kingsley Bimpong, who was a postal worker, was suffering from a brain bleed. Now, it was because of some kind of hemorrhage. I'm not sure all the medical specifications. Here's the thing. Nor can the cops know anything about the medical specifications because it's not something that is common. It's something that has to be seen by a doctor. The man was suffering from a headache at work. He left work early. He was a postal worker, by the way. He was driving down the wrong side of the road. Why? Because he was having a brain bleed. He wasn't thinking clearly. They brought in a drug recognition officer. Oh, he's on drugs. They took him to a cell where they ignored him. Here's the thing, he wasn't on drugs. He was having a medical episode. So instead of taking somebody to a doctor, like they should have, to find out if what they suspected was true, no. What they did was put him into a cell and let him die. This is another case of cops thinking that they know best when what they've done is killed somebody. Now, we're going to cover this case. If you want to know what's going on federal, state, or local level government, hey, stick around. This is going to be yet another case of government not doing things correctly. Now, hit like and subscribe and let's go.
Howdy, y'all. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. What we have here is a channel to communicate. I want you folks to be thinking by the time you leave my videos. Why? Because I'm tired of people talking via what other people tell them to think. So, watch my video and enjoy the chance to think for yourself.
So, this is coming through Yahoo News. Postal worker died in custody after officers mistook his medical emergency for drug impairment, lawsuit alleges. Minnesota employee of the U.S. Postal Service died in police custody after officers ignored signs of him having a stroke, a lawsuit filed in the U.S. District Court on Thursday alleges. The suit, which was filed by Kingsley Bimpong's family, says law enforcement failed to conduct proper screening, assumed he was intoxicated, and left him in his cell for hours before transporting him to the hospital where he was declared dead. The lawsuit seeks $120 million in damage and policy changes at the Dakota County Jail, according to CBS News. It names 3 City of Egan police officers and 7 Dakota County correctional officers and Dakota County as defendants. It alleges violations of Bimpong's constitutional rights under the 8th and 14th Amendments, according to KARE 11. KARE 11 reported that officers and jail staff mistook his medical emergency for drug impairment. Kingsley Bimpong was 50 years old, USPS employee and a permanent U.S. residency, originally from Ghana. On November 16, 2024, he left his shift at the Egan Postal Distribution Center after saying he was suffering from a headache. He was stopped by law enforcement officers after they saw him driving the wrong way on Pilot Knob Road. At the time, Bimpong appeared confused and said he didn't know where he lived or worked. Martin Jensen, an Egan officer trained as a drug recognition evaluator was called in to assess the man was assessed intoxicated. The officer refused to conduct the evaluation and said it would be a whole bunch of time wasted, according to the body camera audio per Care 11. Now, another officer asked if Bimpong should be taken to the hospital, to which Jensen replied, "For what?" Bimpong was then arrested over suspected driving while intoxicated. He was taken to the Dakota County Jail and blood sample was taken. Bimpong was held in custody for nearly 6 hours. Footage shows him falling to the ground, urinating himself, and laying on the floor. Guards, who are mandated to check on inmates' well-being, marked him as inmate and cell OK on official logs. After 3 hours and 26 minutes, the jail nurse was called for the first time after a guard saw Bimpong foaming at the mouth. She administered him 3 doses of Narcan based on his DWI arrest. Bimpong was cold to the touch and unresponsive when the nurse was called, according to the lawsuit. When paramedics arrived, Bimpong's blood pressure indicated a life-threatening hypertensive crisis. He was taken to Regina Hospital in Hastings, then to United Hospital in St. Paul, and was declared brain dead. He was removed from life support on November 19, 2024. Bimpong suffered a massive brain bleed known as an intraparenchymal hemorrhage. No drugs were found in his system. "This is one of the worst jail deaths we've ever seen," Katie Bennett, an attorney representing Bimpong's family, said, Care 11 reported. And at every step along the way with Egan and jail defendants, it was a conscious choice of deliberate interference to not bring him to the hospital, she added via CBS. An investigation at the Minnesota Department of Corrections found that none of the Dakota County correctional officers were up to date on their first aid and CPR certifications. It also found the officers violated the state law by not documenting emergency medical information or conducting mental health screening. Vicky Hruby, an attorney representing the city of Egan, said in a statement that Bimpong displayed no obvious signs of medical emergency. Hours after Egan officers transported Mr. Bimpong to the jail, it was discovered he had experienced a stroke, which was fatal, she said. While Mr. Bimpong's death is tragic, he was not exhibiting an objectively serious medical condition that was obvious to laypersons at the time he was in the Egan officer's custody, and there was no indication he required an emergent medical treatment. Here's one of the most massive problems within law enforcement nowadays. They are being pushed to arrest as many people as possible. Well, this leads to people with medical emergencies going to jail instead of going to the hospital where they're taken care of in the correct manner. Doesn't matter what their skin color is. It doesn't matter what the medical emergency is. They just go to jail. I covered not long ago where there have been quite a few people with epilepsy ending up in jail and being denied their medical necessary medication. And there was actually a comment that somebody made on one of the social media platforms that I post to that said, well, police officers aren't medical professionals. They can't tell these things. This person could have been having this problem. Well, here's where the problem comes in at. Police officers are not medical personnel, yet they make decisions when somebody's having medical crises that have led to many deaths across the nation. Many deaths across the nation. And it's about time that police officers do realize that they are not medical professionals and that they need to get people to the hospital. They need to make sure that somebody's not suffering from a medical condition. Instead, they want to assume, oh, we've got somebody we can arrest and we can get our numbers up, which will make us look good, because that is what's going on across the nation. Recently, there's been a major push against my home state, which is Tennessee, for having arrested a bunch of people for DWI that were not intoxicated. They didn't even exhibit signs of being intoxicated, but they were arrested for driving while intoxicated. Why? Because these officers are being forced to get their arrest numbers up. I I don't know why we have allowed police officers to become something that is all about raising money through arrest. That's what it is. The reason that they're being forced to get their arrest numbers up is because the city, the state, the county all make money by the fines and all of this from these arrests. This mentality needs to change. If people are having medical emergencies, they should not be forced into a jail cell where they're then dying. Or they're coming close to it because thankfully these people are able to get out after it's, somebody's able to post bail for them. But if they have epilepsy, if they're having a stroke or whatnot, there is absolutely no reason why they're being forced into jail cells to die. This has been Paul, Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. So, folks, that's the story that I wanted to bring you on this video. And I just wanted to say thank you again for coming by. Well, hit like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff if you don't mind. Help me out. So, y'all have a good day now.